We're having a wonderful morning. It is March 26, 2025, and we kind of have another green day. We closed 3 green days in a row, and if you did not know, that was actually the best 3-day rally since February, to give you an idea of the volatility you've been dealing with. But now this morning, we're getting ready for more of the Trump tariff fiasco, preparing for Liberation Day. We did get a little bit of data, but now there was also a Trump surprise. So we heard a little bit yesterday. Trump said he was going to announce something, and then pretty much this morning he said that he is looking to tariff copper a lot sooner than expected, pretty much in weeks. Some people thought it would happen in a couple months or if at all, and now we woke up to that. So commodities, pricing, they're probably going to be in play, and then we're going to get a lot more going from there. So, Chattadonia, I hope you guys are ready. I hope you're blessed. Welcome to the middle of the week with Wednesday. But good morning. What's up, baby? How you doing, Laurie? Battle Boy, C-Rod, Energy, yay, baby. Good morning. Kurt McGirt, Alex, Malcolm, Dollar Trail. There's the chat. Matthew Warman, baby. Good morning. Don't Stop Show, Brown, Tom Crows, Laker, Jay. Good morning. What up, Christina, Ivy, Samuel, Gunnar, Josh Jacobs, baby. Good morning. Tim Whitman in the house. Passion the Prophets, Caesar, Luis, Bruce B, the Tiger Man, baby. Good morning. What up, Jamal? What up, Avery, Dakota, CM, Misa, Fates, Danny B, Alyssa Baker, Jennifer, Patrick, Lucky Soldier. Good morning, baby. What up, Andre? What up, 2AR? What up, Deco? Michael, Matt, good morning. What about the Twitch? What about Deal, Money, Stock Sasquatch, Iron Beeble, Oddity, Nether, Preforms, YT Swami, Money, Toy Soldier, Epic Eric, The Mercator, Blowing Dough, Robo Hand Tech, and Pie Guy, baby. Good morning. What up, Rudy? How you living? Are you ready? It's Wednesday, man. I don't know. These weeks just fly by, bro. You know, and this is it. We're about to end the quarter. We are going to end the quarter. A lot in store. So, that being said, I hope you guys are ready for another morning. Let's have a good one. And here is Josh AI with your news. Good morning. Good morning. U.S. futures falter as tariff turmoil saps mood. U.S. stock futures fluctuated, with investors wary about being whiplashed from the latest tariffs headlines. The pound weakened after data showed an unexpected slowdown in UK inflation. S&P 500 futures were little change after a 3-day advance. Tesla Inc. and Nvidia Corp. Edged lower in pre-market trading. GameStop Corp. jumped 13% after saying it plans to add Bitcoin as a Treasury reserve asset. Dollar Tree Inc. advanced as it neared a sale of its Family Dollar business for $1 billion. The tariffs issue remains front and center for investors who took comfort earlier this month from the Trump administration's signal that the coming wave of levies may be less expansive and more targeted than originally feared. However, the president has since sown confusion by saying he didn't want too many tariff exceptions, but he would probably be more lenient than reciprocal. In another twist, U.S. tariffs on copper could come much earlier than expected. People familiar with the matter said all that has left investors struggling to work out how to position ahead of the April 2nd deadline that Trump has dubbed Liberation Day. Uncertainty on the tariff front remains ridiculously high, leaving it incredibly tough for businesses or consumers to plan more than about a day into the future, and still making it nigh on impossible for market participants to price risk, said Michael Brown, a strategist at Pepperstone Group Limited. An added layer of uncertainty stems from the global economy, which many analysts fear is slowing down, even as inflation remains broadly elevated. Growth concerns were fanned further on Tuesday by U.S. data showing showing consumer confidence at a 4-year low. Wednesday's reading of durable goods orders is expected to come in softer than the previous month. The fear of a sharp economic downturn is hampering U.S. equities from rebounding decisively after a recent 4-week sell-off, with growth-linked technology names under most pressure. The S&P 500 is set for its worst first-quarter performance in 3 years, with record underperformance versus European stocks in dollar terms. The stock 600, meanwhile, is on track for its best quarter since end 2022. I'm not sure we've gone the whole way, Kevin Those, member of the investment committee at Carmignac, said of the U.S. equity underperformance. We are trying to build a bit more defensiveness in the portfolio because we have penciled in this risk of the U.S. economy slowing down. In the UK, Britain's FTSE 250 of mid-cap stocks advanced. Data showing an unexpected inflation slowdown has strengthened the case for the Bank of England to cut interest rates. Rate-sensitive 2-year bond yield slid about 6 basis points. Next up for UK investors is the spring economic statement due later today from Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. Most economists expect her to slash government spending by billions of pounds. Liquidity drain worries over the economic effects of the global trade war are further sapping liquidity in U.S. stocks, creating a headache for institutional investors that could also boost volatility in broader markets. Liquidity, the ease of buying or selling an asset without affecting its price, has been dwindling for years due to factors such as tighter regulations and the rise of algorithmic trading. Tariff concerns have introduced a new wrinkle, stoking gyrations in individual stocks that have made it harder for institutions to trade in size. The phenomenon can be seen in a pair of widely tracked liquidity measures. Liquidity in S&P 500 stock index futures, as measured in the most active contract, stands at a 2-year low. Data compiled by Deutsche Bank show. Meanwhile, the 5-day moving average of Citigroup's liquidity index, which is based on futures volumes for the S&P 500, is also hovering near its lowest level in 2 years. Trump weighs imposing copper import tariffs in weeks, not months. U.S. tariffs on copper imports could be coming within several weeks, months earlier than the deadline for a decision. According to people familiar with the matter, copper traded in New York rose to a record. U.S. President Donald Trump in February directed the Commerce Department to open an investigation into potential copper tariffs and submit a report within 270 days, though it's now expected to be resolved sooner, said the people who asked not to be identified because the discussions are confidential. C.K. Hutchison said to proceed with port deal amid China ire. C.K. Hutchison Holdings Lidity's plan to sell 2 Panama ports to a BlackRock Inc.-led group is moving ahead as scheduled, people familiar with the matter said, in a sign that negotiations have not yet been disrupted by China's anger over the transaction. The parties involved are currently working on finalizing due diligence, tax, accounting, and other deal terms, and are still aiming to sign an agreement as planned by April 2nd, the people said, asking not to be identified, discussing private matters. U.S. says Black Sea truce agreed, even as Russia lays out terms. The U.S. said Russia and Ukraine agreed to a ceasefire in the Black Sea, even as the Kremlin said its involvement would depend on a series of preconditions, including sanctions relief. In separate statements, the White House said Tuesday that 3 days of technical-level talks in Saudi Arabia with teams from Russia and Ukraine had yielded agreements to ensure safe navigation in the Black Sea. The sides had also agreed to prevent the use of commercial shipping for military purposes, it said. The U.S. also will help restore Russia's access to the world market for agricultural and fertilizer exports, lower maritime insurance costs, and enhance access to ports and payment systems for such transactions, according to the White House. Top overnight news, GOP leaders said they're getting close to agreeing on a plan to pass an extension of Trump's 2017 tax cuts and an increase to the debt ceiling. The CBO will today release its estimate for when the debt ceiling will be reached. BBG and Fed's Goolsbee, 2025 voter, said it may take longer than anticipated for the next cut to come because of economic uncertainty, and wait and see is the correct approach when facing uncertainty. Goolsbee also commented that that market angst over inflation would be a red flag and believes borrowing costs will be a fair bit lower in 12 to 18 months, while he noted that if investor expectations begin to converge with those of American households, the Fed would need to act. FT. China economic optimism rises and the street has raised their growth forecasts on back of stimulus, although tariffs loom as a risk. WSJ. China wields significant policy room to stimulate its economy this year, while some reform was needed to boost consumption. Huang Yiping, an advisor to China's central bank and a professor at Peking University, said on Wednesday, China has unveiled fresh fiscal measures, including a rise in its annual budget deficit to help hit an economic growth target of around 5% this year, which analysts have described as ambitious. The central bank has pledged to cut interest rates and pump more money into the economy at an appropriate time. RTRs, the Bank of Japan may consider monetary tightening if a surge in food prices causes broader and stronger inflation, the central bank governor said Wednesday, adding fuel to expectations for a near-term rate hike. WSJ. Australia's CPI in Feb ticks down to plus 2.4% versus the street plus 2.5%, helped by a fall in electricity prices, while the continued easing in home building costs and rents supported fueling expectations for further RBA rate cuts. RTRS signs that investors in the U.S. bond market are baking in higher inflation would be a major red flag that could upend policymakers' plans to cut interest rates, Goolsbee warned. He added that the Fed is no longer on the golden path and that the rate cuts will take longer than expected. If you start seeing market-based long-run inflation expectations start behaving the way these surveys have done in the last 2 months, I would view that as a major red flag area of concern, said Goolsbee. FT. Canada and India are taking steps to cool diplomatic tensions, including considering sending back envoys after tit-for-tat expulsions last year. People familiar said the two nations are looking to strengthen trade ties to counter U.S. tariff threats. BBG. I know, you heard that? No golden path. I guess it was Biden propaganda. That's sad. That's it. The golden path, man. No more. The hard data hasn't changed much, but no more. We have more, Chattadonia. Good morning. S&P futures are flat on Wednesday. Comes after U.S. equities finished mostly higher on Tuesday, with the S&P up for the third straight session. Mag 7, one of the better performers, along with industrial metals, A&D, banks, pharma, retail, and parcel logistics among the notable laggers. Equal weight S&P underperformed, with 55% of the index down on the day. Treasuries are mostly weaker, with curve steepening. Dollar up by 0.1, gold is up by 0.2, and Bitcoin down by 0.4. WTI is up by 0.9. Very quiet from a headline perspective as market continues to wait for next week's reciprocal tariff announcement and high-profile macro data. While nothing really incremental on tariffs, the more recent headlines have lacked the positive spin that surrounded the weekend reports about a narrower approach. Also, concerns that the April 2nd tariff announcement will not represent the clearing event that the market wants, a dynamic that creates lingering risk to consensus estimates. Spillover of Trump 2.0 uncertainty still a big theme in the press with the adverse sequencing. However, recent headlines out of Washington have suggested that House and Senate moving closer to compromise on reconciliation, including via inclusion of debt ceiling raise. Headline durable goods orders beat, posting surprise increase, while transportation also ahead. However, core capital goods, which feeds into GDP, posted a surprise contraction, though core capital goods shipments better than expected. Fed Kashgari and Muslim also scheduled to speak. In addition, you have $70 billion of 5-year notes today. Thursday brings final GDP and pending home sales, along with $44 billion of 7-year notes. In addition, Fed Barkin speaks after the close. Personal income, spending, core PCE, and final Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. Micron told channel partners that they are seeing strong demand and will be raising prices. Dollar Tree confirmed to sell Family Dollar business to PE consortium for approximately $1 billion. Financial Times said NVIDIA facing $17 billion annual threat if China is moving strictly to enforce energy efficiency rules for advanced chips. Qualcomm reportedly issued antitrust complaint against ARM to foreign regulators. Boeing fraud trial set for June 23rd. GME, a big post-earnings gainer after the company added Bitcoin to their treasury reserve. WOR, fiscal Q3 revenue and EBITDA and EPS all nicely ahead, and company talked up ability to execute amid tariff uncertainty. Huma down big following $25 million secondary offering at 30% discount to close. Wow. There's more, Habibi. Trump says he does not want too many exceptions in tariff review. Trump may implement copper tariffs in coming weeks. Trump tariff war forcing America's closest allies to choose between fighting back or acquiescing. Canada may face lower tariffs from Trump, indicating a subtle shift in tone in U.S. congressional meetings. Canada freezes rebate payments to Tesla, bans future rebate program due to tariffs. Washington adds dozens of Chinese entities to export blacklist. Washington faces growing opposition over fees on China Link shipped. European trade chief said held substantive talks with Commerce Secretary Lutnick, USTR Greer, and advisor Hassett. India confirms or considers tariff cuts on more than half of U.S. imports to shield export base. Conference Board latest monthly survey was lowest since January 21, reflecting mounting financial concerns. Corporate America fretting over what they see with whipsaw policy changes and complacency about the risk of U.S. recession. U.S. small business owner confidence falls nearly 7 points in Q1, erasing last year's post-election surge. Moody's warns a deteriorating outlook for U.S. public finances under Trump policy. UK inflation eases by more than expected in February. UK Finance Minister Reeves set to announce Social Security cuts. Japan February sector service inflation moderates to 3%. Australia headline and core inflation falls. Australia raises borrowing requirements following budget. South Korea business sentiment tumbles over global trade risk. Despite tariff concerns, many global financial institutions are upbeat about China's economic outlook due to government stimulus. Fed Goolsbee says market angst over inflation would be red flag after key survey shows consumers expect soaring prices. Ueda says Bank of Japan to keep on raising interest rates if economy stays on track. France Villeroy says ECB rates could fall by 2 by the end of summer. Italy's Panetta says ECB must remain pragmatic in setting rates. U.S. brokers maritime ceasefire deal between Russia and Ukraine that fails to extract concessions from Moscow. Zelensky says U.S. has proposed new critical mineral deal to Ukraine. Vice President Vance to join Greenland trip to check on security. China poses biggest military and cyber threat to U.S., aims to lead world in AI by 2030, intelligence chief says. Trump praises Turkish President Erdogan's government despite domestic unrest and capital flight. Germany MERS facing criticism from conservatives over too many concessions to SPD. GOP edges closer to including debt limit in Trump agenda bill, but Senate passage still uncertain. Trump signs order to overhaul federal election process to include proof of citizenship requirement. Signal blunder underscores the ad hoc nature of the Trump admin. National security deliberations. Waltz says he takes full responsibility for signal intelligence lapse as Trump calls the episode a glitch. Elite U.S. law firms brace for more Trump retaliation after Paul Westcott capitulation. NVIDIA faces threat of $17 billion a year if China strictly enforces energy efficiency rule. Qualcomm takes legal fight with ARM to global antitrust agencies. Apple CEO Cook visited China AI hub of Hangzhou, the home of DeepSeek. Dollar Tree to sell Family Dollar for $1 billion. United Airlines technicians reject contract proposal. Teamster Union announced rejection of proposal from the airline. Alibaba and BMW to develop AI for cars will collaborate on AI tech for the automotive market in China. BYD aims to sell over 800,000 cars internationally by 2025, planning to assemble vehicles locally to mitigate tariffs. U.S. and European brokers diverge on outlook for U.S. equities. JGB 10-year yield nears 2, but the BofJ stays on sidelines. And Morgan Stanley raises year-end targets for the Hang Seng, citing improved earnings outlook. Wow. I know it. No more golden ghouls. I'm mad. This whole time, I was like, he called it. He believed it. And I'm like, it was propaganda the whole time. That's it. That's crazy. Fucking Goolsby. Anyways, we got pre-market movers. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Good morning. And shout out to Vets, baby. Oh, they don't feel me. GME, they are by 12. Earnings in to add Bitcoin to Treasury Reserve list. Chewy up 5.2 off earnings. SMMT is up 5. City Upgrade sale up 2.8 off earnings. Dollar Tree up 1.8, selling divesting Family Dollar for $1 billion. Micron up 1.8, reportedly raising prices or on increasing demand. Bros up 1.6. Wells Fargo initiates overweight. KMX up 1.4. Stevens Upgrade. WVE up 16. Data from Forward 5.3 trial and DMD achieves all trial goals. PLTK 14. Bank of America upgrades to buy from underperform. PRM up 10, UBS upgrade, TTAM up 8.7 off earnings, GLBE up 4, Morgan Stanley upgrade, NGD up 3.3, Bank of America upgrades to buy from underperform, OSRH up 143%, final data of open label phase 2A clinical trial, assessing safety and tolerability of VXMO1, Surge up 73 off earnings, THTX up 36, FDA approval of Agrifta WR, TDTH up 14, strategic collaboration with 2 global e-commerce firms. USAR up 6.3. The stock was down 30% yesterday. Pays up 5.2 off earnings. Riley up 3.7. Private bond exchange trading lower. VRT down 1. NVIDIA down 1.6 on China news. Tesla down 1.4, BX down 1.1, quarter one intra realization update. DJT down 2.2, Sorrow down 1.9, 36 million common stock offering, and then Huma down 28%. And believe it or not, that's it. That's all we got. The mornings. You got 3 days of rally, but the mornings have been a lot calmer. So, Charadonia, are you ready or what, baby? Are you ready or what? We got good time. You got the news. Again, the surprise today was the copper. So generally, markets are doing decent. Data didn't get in the way. But now we see if we get any more updates. And now after today, Thursday, Friday, we get the data, the end of the quarter. So we'll see what today brings us. But Chatadonia, here at the cult, my friend, before we do anything, before we chase a dollar, before we try to enrich ourselves, we must pay homage to a very special group of people that has made a sacrifice that most of us never have and ever will. And I am talking about the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of the cult, the people here, the people not here, I want to give a huge special shout out. I mean it from the bottom of my heart, and I really hope y'all bring this culture to real life. And I hope that you show this love and appreciation. And I'm talking about the veterans because we wouldn't have this freedom. We wouldn't be living in this great country. We wouldn't be little stock traders doing whatever we want if we didn't have such a great country with such freedom. But that freedom came with a price, and there's many people in here who have made that sacrifice. Some aren't with us today, and I think the least we could do is honor that. So veterans, the families, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you have given up. I hope you know you are loved and appreciated. If anybody should get a long-term in that crib, it is you, my friends. And if you haven't served, I really hope you can show this love and actually mean it, because this is very, very important. So veterans, can't thank you guys enough. God bless you and thank you for everything. And big shout out to anybody else out there giving back to their local communities. All the doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, the janitors, the coaches, the garbage men, anybody making their community run. God bless you and thank you, baby. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Send in the judge! Oh, it's game time, baby. Horna. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's Wednesday, bro. I feel like we just started the week. What do you mean it's Wednesday? This makes no sense. In the quarter, bro. You're 3 months in. The 100 days are almost over. Oh, man. So don't get me started. But Chatadonia, that is all that we have. I hope you guys are locked and loaded. The bell is going to ring here in a little bit. And now we must move to Gen Pop. So I hope you're locked and loaded. Here is the link. Shout out to the veterans, baby. You want to be here without them. So show that love. And God bless you in America. I will see you in Gen Pop. And let's have a great day, baby. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I'll see you in